Your time is very, very much appreciated today. Thank you very much for joining the technical session of the Global Tourism Plastics Initiative, which is, as you know, jointly led by UNEP and UN Tourism within the framework of the One Planet Sustainable Tourism Program. We are particularly pleased to organize this session on the occasion of the upcoming World Environment Day and World Ocean Day, which brings together tourism stakeholders from across Asia, East Africa, and of course beyond, because our network is global. And today's session is intended to be highly practical and really implementation oriented. And over the next 2 hours, we will present some of the latest tools and resources that were developed under the Global Tourism Plastics Initiative, and hear concrete implementation experiences from destinations, from governments, from businesses that are already advancing circular economy solutions in tourism. And the objective is not only to share technical resources, but also to facilitate exchange between stakeholders facing similar challenges, but also opportunities in reducing plastic pollution across tourism value chains. And before we start, I would like to give the floor to also my colleague, Virginia Fernandez-Trapa from UN Tourism, with which UNEP is jointly leading this initiative, just so that Virginia can say hi and say a few words as well. Virginia, are you here?
I am here, yes. Hello, Svetlana. Hello, everyone. I hope you're well. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to greet everybody. On behalf of UN Tourism, I'm really happy to give you a warm welcome to this session. We're very excited to be able to share the tools and the country progress of the Global Tourism Plastics Initiative. If you think about it, since we launched the initiative in 2020, a lot has happened, and the initiative has grown a lot in numbers to an extent that now is spanning across more than 6,000 hotels and several destinations. But most importantly, we have grown in knowledge, and I really think it's very important we take the time to share it. So besides thanking you all for joining, I wanted to thank Svetlana for leading the effort, and also our expert, Joe Hendricks. Fantastic work for both of you, and really happy to support the network from UN Tourism as co-lead of the initiative. Wishing everyone a fantastic session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Virginia. And as you know, for us, it's extremely precious to have this partnership with UN Tourism.
Thank you for coming.
So we hope this will be a participatory session. You can see that we organized this meeting in a meeting format, which means that we would need to respect also together some housekeeping rules. Please, colleagues, make sure that if you don't intervene, you keep your mics muted so that we do not bother our speakers. At the same time, we really want this session to be as participatory as possible. So please ask your questions, interact in the chat, don't hesitate. And if we don't have time to respond to all of the questions, we will just make sure that we will find a way to pass the messages after this session. So as I just mentioned, and as Virginia mentioned, one of the key objectives of today's session is to present practical tools that can support all of you in moving from commitments to implementation. And over the past years, our initiative has developed a growing portfolio of technical resources based on one side on lessons learned from implementation and destinations, but also from feedback from all of you. And today we are pleased to present several of the latest additions to this portfolio, and I'm very pleased to introduce to you Joe Hendricks, our GTPI trainer and expert, whom many of you know already. Some of you even worked bilaterally already with Joe through the bilateral technical assistance that she was provided in various destinations. So Joe, over to you. And perhaps we can start with the introduction of a resource that many stakeholders are, particularly in the African continent, have been waiting for. Hopefully, the GTPI manual for a circular economy of plastics in the African tourism sector. And for this, I will stop presenting. And Joe, the screen, the floor is yours. Normally, you have the presenter rights and should be able to share your presentation.
Yep, bear with me 1 second. Do you see it?
Fantastic, we can see it. Thank
Excellent.
you, Joe.
Okay, brilliant. So thank you, Svetlana, for the introduction, and I really enjoyed creating this guide. So I really hope that you also enjoy reading it and referring to it. It is really great material for reference, and I think it's also great material for inspiration. So what I want to do is take you through a little bit the context of the guide, what's included in it, and how the sections are arranged so that you can really use them to your advantage. We've pulled together so many different options, alternatives to single-use plastics, strategies for different players. We've pulled together different case studies from signatories that we've worked with, as Svetlana has said, over the years, and we've been able to compile this information into a really useful guidance document. So it's split into 5 main sections, as you can see on the slide there, with an introduction to the circular economy of plastics in the African tourism sector, specifically for this, the plastics value chain, which I'll explain to you, some cross-cutting themes and tools that could be used anywhere in any region with slight adaptations. Obviously, a monitoring and reporting section, because as signatories, you provide your data back to GTPI, and a really exciting annex where we've got lots of information about replacing, eliminating, and reducing single-use plastics. There's also a best practices index as well. And these indexes are interactive, so you can click on any section that you want to go to. When you look on the main index screen in the guide itself, all of the different subsections are listed, so you can really easily jump around very quickly to get to any projects of interest or any sections of interest, so you don't have to flick through the whole thing. Once you're on a page, and we'll see this as we go through, you can get back to the index anytime by clicking on that little home icon. So that's super useful if you want to jump around the guide quickly to find the sections that are most interesting for you. On some of the pages, you'll also see a link icon, and that will give more details on a topic, for example, might take you to more information. That could be links to GTPI tools. It could be links to case studies or more information from some of the organizations who've provided case studies for us. And wherever you see the gender icon, you'll find specifics around where and how gender plays a key role, recommendations on how to ensure inclusion and that everybody's voice is heard. So in the first section, you will obviously find more information about the GTPI, including the 3 categories of plastic products so that you have them easily to reference. Many of you will be familiar with these already. These are the category 1 items, products that are very common in hospitality, that are used in large quantities and that significantly contribute to pollution. And there's a lot of alternatives now available generally for these types of products. Category 2, items that are still consumed in quite large quantities, maybe not so common as category 1, and maybe a little bit more challenging to find some solutions for at scale, such as cling film, for example. Our tools do cover ideas for cling film. I'll talk about those a little bit later on. And then category 3 is just presented as a larger list per operational area. So this covers the products that may not be quite so common or are not so likely to become solution. And in some cases, it can be quite tricky to find alternatives for these. The next section looks at all the roles in the tourism plastics value chain. So we've grouped them into 5 roles and we've outlined here what those are. So for example, users of plastic, in this case, accommodations, tour operators, hospitality businesses, public sector, the producers of plastic and the producers of other materials and other solutions, so suppliers, refill services, reusable systems, etc. Collectors and processors, so waste collectors, community groups, informal and formal waste collections who are managing materials after use and either keeping them in circulation or disposing of them safely. Supporting organisations as well. I know we've got many of those organisations on the call with us today. They play a really vital role in raising awareness, building capacity, supporting behaviour change and strengthening partnerships, and then enablers and regulators as well. Some people joining us from those organisations today, government bodies, municipalities, those that can shape policies and set standards, so creating the wider conditions that support progress. So for each role, what we've done is there's a subsection that goes into more details. I'm not going to take you through every single one today, but I will just show you how it's laid out so that you get a feel for the type of information that's in there. So what we've done is we've looked at what kind of actions can people or organisations or businesses in those roles take. So if we look at a user of plastic, and we use hospitality as an example. I know you won't be able to read everything on the slide here, but what we've put into the guide is recommendations and information about what users of plastic could actually influence. Now, obviously, depending on the businesses, there are very different degrees of influence around what's bought, how it's used, how it's stored, and to some degree, how it's disposed of, although obviously there's interdependency on waste infrastructure around disposal. But generally, businesses can decide on their brand standards, they can decide on the products that they make visible to their guests and that are used as part of daily routines. And because of the volumes of products that move through businesses, even just small adjustments to this can really make a big overall difference. So we start to drill that information down into more detail. We capture the possibilities, the influence from different perspectives, as you can see here. So from the accommodation sector, we would look at procurement, operational practices, staff engagement, the guest experience, waste separation in this particular case. And then we'll go down into more details again for each of those sections by providing recommendations and advice. You'll see on this page that there's a link logo at the bottom. So if you were to click on that link, for example, it would take you directly to some of the procurement tools that have already been created by the One Planet Network and are available on the website. So you would go straight out to those if you wanted to access them. And you'll also see there's two gender icons on there as well, which highlight specific gender focus points. So this is what I mean when I was saying at the beginning, you can look at the different parts of the page and move around accordingly and see what's relevant to you. Throughout the guide as well, we've included relevant best practice examples. They are all highlighted with this kind of icon, like a rosette and a thumbs up, so you can identify those very easily and you can click to them from the best practice index. So as I said, there's a section for the 5 roles. They take very similar approaches. Here, for example, it would be the producers of plastic and producers of other materials. Slightly different approach where in this case, we would be identifying the potential for collaboration. And there's lots of tables in here. There's lots more information in each of these sections. It is worth pointing out that so many of these suggestions have come from people working in the field, from people that have tested and they have found what works and what doesn't work. as well as our experience as a team, and we've been able to pull these together in the guide for you. So a really good example of that in terms of collaboration, this is something that we saw when we were in Mauritius with the GTPI event, where the supplier of the cooking oil, who originally supplied cooking oil in like 1 litre and 5 litre bottles, actually switched to these really huge refillable vats. Now that actually came as a result of a green team meeting in the hotel itself, where the staff are engaged and they were looking at what different opportunities were there to help them with specific problematic products, ones they consumed a lot of, and then subsequent focus groups with the supplier until they actually arrived at this really fantastic solution, which has enabled them to reduce thousands of plastic bottles from cooking oil. So there's some really great useful examples in there. As I mentioned earlier, the very important role as well for the value chain of supporting organisations, and I say there's a number of you on the call today, there are real opportunities for those to influence behaviour change in communities and in business environments. The Flip Floppy project in East Africa, Kenya region is a really good example of a community-led project that's challenging the normalisation of single-use plastics. They're working across communities, governments, private sector. You can click on the link there. You can go out to find more about the project. We have the, I know Stephanie, I think, is on the call as well today from Mauritius, their organisation, We Recycle, who are working across education centres. There's a page in there about them and their information and how they work. We also highlight some successful engagement campaigns. This one is in Bonaire, which I know is not in Africa, but it was a really good example of using local influential voices. So this guy that you see on the picture, he's very well known on the island, has a huge social media following, and he really promotes the sustainability message. And so his messages and his content reach a large audience. So that's there as an inspirational opportunity. There's also a fantastic campaign in Madagascar to turn off the waste tap, which is encouraging people, citizens, to think beyond cleanup activities and to focus more on prevention at source. We'll hear more about that later. But in the guide, you'll also see there's a link where you can go and watch a really great short video that they have created. Do recommend watching that. It might influence the more creative amongst you to think of something similar. So section 3 will briefly cover some of the cross-cutting themes and tools that work in any region because they focus on behaviour change and social norms, on designing systems around people, and on collaboration and partnership models. Obviously, whilst the details of these types of interventions would be very different in different places, the fundamentals are essentially the same. So, for example, for behaviour change and social norms, we've put together top tips for engaging others to support behaviour change in practice. And there are really like 4 basic approaches that should underpin any engagement campaign. And as you know, at GTPI, we're also very practical. We've also highlighted the pitfalls to avoid, things that other people have learned from and have had to learn lessons a difficult way, you know, and hopefully you don't have to, because we're able to include these lessons learned within the guidance as well. And then looking at designing systems around people, what do we mean by that? So almost all businesses will follow some kind of standard operating procedures and systems to get things done. Very often when we talk to businesses, those procedures have been around for a long time and they haven't necessarily been updated. They don't necessarily reflect today's operational reality, for example. And the people who work within those systems are the ones that have the most experience of the challenges, but they're also the people who have some of the best ideas about how to overcome those challenges. And so it's super important that we hear all of those voices. And if we can then design systems around the people that work in them, rather than trying to get people into a system that may no longer serve us for what we need to do today, then the changes can be a lot easier to implement. So there's some content in there around how to do that. And then some final recommendations for collaboration and partnership models. You know, nobody can do this alone. We all know that. We've all got very different roles to play, as we've seen with the value chain actors, but we are all ultimately on the same path towards the same goal, which is to reduce the consumption of unnecessary plastics and to implement more circular solutions. So to win at that, our collaboration needs to be really effective. And so here we've got examples of what people have found to work well and what businesses and individuals have found undermines collaboration. So again, we can avoid some of those costly or time-consuming mistakes. As
Thank you
I said
so much,
earlier,
Jo.
sorry, go on.
Oh, Dada. Oh my God. I'm interrupting you at the very important
No, that's okay.
point that I love very much. So I think I still give you a few words to mention this point because it's extremely important. Just please be mindful of the time because you don't have much left.
Okay, great. Let me go very quickly. So data and reporting, we know that GTPI asks you for annual data. There are simple decision trees to help you understand what to report on. And there are also, there's an easy 7-step plan in there to help you to think about how to implement those changes and some top tips on reporting so that it's easy. And again, some common pitfalls to avoid. And then very quickly, I'll give you a whiz through the annex. This is probably the part that many of you in the businesses are going to find the most useful. The repository of suggestions covering all of the single-use plastics that were listed in category 1, 2, and 3, and they're broken down into operational areas. So for example, food service, you can see the plastics there. And then each one has a page or more of potential alternatives with the pros and cons that will help you to have more informed conversations with your teams. You can see cling film in there, so plenty of other options for that. You'll see the link to one of the tools we're going to talk about very quickly. And we've also got real lived best practice case studies and advice from hotels that have contributed to the guide and that have implemented many different actions in practice. So you'll see plenty of those in there. We're going to hear from some of these on the call shortly. And that was a whirlwind tour of the manual. So back to you, Svetlana.
Thank you so much, Jo. Apologies for interrupting you. And it's extremely interesting, and I'm really, really proud of this piece of work. I posted, colleagues, in the chat the link to download it. I hope you will take a look. And indeed, the annex section is basically the half of the manual, and it's extremely rich, and I really hope you will find it useful. And thank you so much, Jo, for the fantastic work. And I also would like to recognize the support from the BRS Secretariat colleagues who helped us also getting in touch with various ministries of environment in the region, gathering the case studies from them. And of course, thank you very much to all of the stakeholders who contributed with their case studies and practical examples for this manual to be as practical as possible. So, of course, the destination level is not destination level implementation and guidance is not only part of equation. And we know that tourism businesses also need practical tools that help them identify concrete actions that they can implement in their day-to-day operations. And one area where we continue to receive significant interest is the transition from single-use plastic to reuse. So the next resource that Jo will present to us, and colleagues, may I ask you to mute yourself kindly? Thank you so much. Is sorry on all of the fronts is our guidance on reuse. So Jo, over to you. This is a very important tool for us as well. And just keep in mind, you have basically 3 minutes for this one and 3 minutes for the next one.
Perfect. I'll do it in less. So at the end of the manual, there's a link to these tools as well. So once you have the manual, you can click through and you can easily access these. So this is the reuse toolkit, as Svetlana mentioned. And as we said before, all of our tools and guidance that we create are informed by consultation with signatories. This came about thanks to a survey that was undertaken to identify the single-use plastic products that signatories said they were finding the most challenging to eliminate, reduce or replace. These ones on the screen are the ones that came out top of that list. So in the reuse toolkit, what we did, I'll use cling film as an example. For each item, we created a fact sheet with some general information, some concrete examples for alternatives. I know you can't read these very easily in there, but there are 5 suggested alternatives. For each of those, we provide operational advice. We're very clear about the potential impacts on staff, both negative and positive, any potential impacts on the guest experience, the time frames it usually takes to implement these types of changes, and the potential cost implications, because we know all of this needs to feed in to you being able to make better decisions. To complement the fact sheet part, we've also included a set of decision trees. They include the pros and cons, and it helps you to see potential actions at a glance. Decision trees have proven to be hugely popular tools with people that use them. And in complementary to that, we have included, where we've been able to secure them, some case studies from hotels that have actually implemented these changes, where they tell us in their own words about the operational and financial impacts, any challenges they faced, how they overcome them. So again, we can help people to avoid mistakes that others have already learned from. So that's how the reuse toolkit is set up.
Thank you so much, Jo. This was perfect. And I really hope it gave you participants the desire to look more, to download. Personally, for me, I think it's my favorite, one of the favorites of the tools we have produced in the Global Tourism Plastics Initiative, just because it's extremely practical and extremely handy. You can literally just print it, or just on the tablet, just go through your operations and just start implementing. It's just very clear. We're very straight to the point. It talks about how to engage staff, how to communicate to guests, what are potential costs, how to choose between different reusable alternatives. I think really Jo did a fantastic job here. So please take a look. If you are not familiar, visit yet. And now, yeah, let's move to our last tool we would like to present today. And this one is really also addressing your questions about where to start, how to set the baseline. And Jo has been working on several iterations of this tool, actually, to make sure that it's also as easy to use as possible. So Jo, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. So this is a self-auditing toolkit. We developed this around the first iteration, maybe 3 or 4 years ago now, time flies. But really, thanks to signatory accommodations, particularly in Mauritius and Bali, and with support from NVU in Bali, we put it to the test, and it was too complicated. We realized it was too complicated. And as you know, we like to make things very practical. So based on user feedback, we've simplified it. Now, the best way for me to show you it, and I'm going to do it very quickly, but is for me to stop sharing and to come out of this and to actually just share it on the screen and show you how it works. So let me do that very, very quickly. I'm out of my normal office today, so the screen I'm using to share is actually quite small. So I know this is not the best example that you're going to get of it, or the best experience, but it's really easy to use. So just do try it for yourselves. Do you see it okay, Svetlana?
Yes, we can see your screen well. Thank you, Jo.
So basically, very, very quickly, even though this is the simplified combined checklist, it's called when you open it in the toolkit. Let's imagine that you are sat in your hotel and your accommodation, and you know that you use garbage bags in all of these places. You can quite literally put a cross in the box. And if you go along to the other end, so let me do that very quickly, you'll see that we are ticking that we've got one item in use, which is bin liners, but we're using it in 4 operational areas. So it shows you where you're using plastic and how you're using plastic. So these are set up so that you have the category 1 products in one tab, you have category 2 products in a second tab, and the category 3, which is a longer list, in the third tab. If you complement, or if you fill in all of this information and you go to your overall results, let me just find my results page, sorry, and you go to your results page, you would actually see your different categorized plastics on, so the number of category 1 products that you're using, the number of category 2, the number of category 3. There are also some qualitative questions that you can ask yourself to understand your leadership, your communication, and your procurement. So straight away, in terms of reporting for GTPI, you would know what category products you need to report on by simply filling in this list. Then the other super easy one is the procurement list. So it's set up in exactly the same way with the category products. You've got the years all the way through to 2030 so that you can report continuously, and you can choose the products that you have. So if you don't have mini toiletry bottles, you don't need to click them. But if you have garbage bags that are a size, for example, that are 10 litres, and you've got garbage bags that are 50 litres, then you can make sure that you capture everything and the different sizes on the different rows. If you wish to weigh them, which we recommend you would do once and once only, you would put the weight in there. It might be a couple of grams, not very much. You can put how many units you've purchased. You can put the total price if you want to for your own understanding. You can put your guest nights in here. If you put the price in, let's say we paid 20 euros for those, it starts to give you some quite useful management information. And again, if you tab the whole way across, and this will be the last thing that I show you, but you will see here that straight away you get the garbage bags, which you know are category 1, you know the cost to your business, which is interesting to you, you know the amount you've purchased, but very importantly for GTPI reporting, it will automatically work out the volume. So you can get the information that you need for your annual reports in a really quick and simple way. If anybody wants a longer chance to talk through that, I'm quite happy to. We've recorded, anyway, we have a recording on the website, don't we, Svetlana, of how to use it. But happy if anybody wants to chat to me in more detail about how to use it. But it's super simple now, and it's really easy to use.
Thank you so much, Jo. And I actually shared colleagues also in the chat box the information about the where you can download this simplified tool, and also the video that Jo recorded, to which she's referring. You can watch it directly on the page where you download the resources. So on the in the spot where that I showed you. And lastly, what do I forget? Yes, you can actually download several documents, as Jo mentioned there. So you can have also simple checklists that you can print, and with which you can first go just in a printed version if it's easier for you through different areas in the hotel, and then import the information in the Excel that Jo walked you through. So different ways of approaching things, or importing directly on a tablet or on a phone, whichever you prefer. So anyway, thank you so much, Jo. And colleagues, if you have questions to Jo, please don't hesitate to drop them in the chat box. And before we move to the second part of this webinar, which is about updates related to country implementation. We have one final very short update related to GTPI increased ambition submissions, and I'm very pleased to invite Guyon Lee, GTPI reporting coordinator, who interned with us for the past 6 months, but unfortunately for us, Guyon's assignment with us was completed. And in few months' time, this brilliant mind will join Florida State University, Askew School of Public Administration and Policy for a PhD, where she will be doing research on collaborative governance for climate change policy. So, Guyon, over to you, and thank you so much for connecting. I know it's very late for you.
Thank you for introducing me, Svetlana. Can you help me to open the presentation slides?
Can you see the slides? They are on the screen already, so you can just do your presentation. I will change slides for you, if that's work for you.
Much.
Yeah?
Yeah, that works. Yeah, I'm Ka-hyun Lee. Since early January, I've collected increased ambition from large signatory under the framework of GTPI. The reason why we've been working on collecting additional voluntary commitment is because GTPI has been officially extended to 2030 to align with the timeline of the extension of the mandate of the One Planet Sustainable Tourism, and more broadly, One Planet Network until 2030 by the decision of the United Nations General Assembly. GTPI was initially set for the 2020 to 2025 period, and this extension of the GTPI is the sign of the continued urgency to address plastic pollution in the tourism sector. First of all existing commitments and signatories have been automatically extended until 2030. Large organizations were invited to set additional voluntary commitments, and this outreach prioritized large operators, taking into considerations financial and human resource challenges that tourism SMEs are currently facing. And I am pleased to share that new commitments that we collected will be disclosed on our website. Next slide, please.
Already there.
Yeah. Here is a brief snapshot of signatories who decided to submit additional voluntary commitments. We are very grateful for their decisions to take these further steps and increase their ambition. And we're excited to introduce them to you today. They include large accommodation providers, supporting organizations, and tour operator, as you can see from the slides. That concludes my overview of the additional voluntary commitments. I will now turn the floor back over to Svetlana. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Guyon. It was a great pleasure to work with you. And you will be missed in the team, but you have a fantastic professional opportunity. So we are all extremely glad for you and proud of you. Oh, I see a hand raised, Candice from Club Med. Candice, do you want to jump in?
No. I just wanted to say hi to and thank you to Guyon.
Thank you, Candice. And thank you for joining this
pleasure.
webinar. So, colleagues, we are slightly delayed, just slightly, so all good. But now I suggest we move to the second part of this webinar related to country and destination implementation updates. And in this segment of the webinar, we will showcase experiences from different destinations and from tourism stakeholders that are already translating circular economy principles into concrete action on the ground. And we will start with Indonesia and island of Bali. Back in December 2024, the Global Tourism Plastics Initiative organized a Train the Trainer workshop in Bali. We brought together tourism businesses, government representatives, local government representatives, industry associations, and also solution providers to build capacity and strengthen collaboration on addressing specifically the issue of plastic pollution in the tourism sector. And building on these momentums, activities continued throughout 2025, including through our collaboration with, for instance, Bali Hotel Association. One particularly inspiring outcome of this project was the emergence of the Destination Zero Waste Bali project, developed through collaboration between TUI Care Foundation, Enview, and GTPI. And I'm therefore very pleased to invite Veronica Black from TUI Care Foundation and Rennie Roos from Enview to present this project and share some of its early results and lessons learned. Colleagues, hi Veronica, thank you so much for connecting. Are you able to move the slides on your side, or do you want me to do it for you? Just let me know which one is preferable and we'll proceed.
I just tested it and it seems to work, so I'll do that myself.
Thank you so much,
Great.
Veronica.
Thank
Over
you,
to you.
Svetlana. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Before handing over to Enview, who will talk about specifically the Bali outcomes, I just wanted to share a message. You know, I think there's quite a few supporting organizations in the room, so I just wanted to give a main message from my side that we are actively engaging with GTPI and we are really seeing the benefits. You know, together we're really able to drive action, and I'm seeing really the impact that we're having. So I just wanted to share that, but then also just give you some highlights on how we're engaging with it. So TUI Care Foundation is a supporting organization. As Payun just mentioned, we have made some additional commitments as well. But we go beyond financing. So we also, you know, engage with our networks. We have a wide-reaching network, global network, and these are just some ways on the slide that you can see that we support our projects in the different destinations. And that is also why our commitments reflect, you know, awareness, reference, design, knowledge, and network to complement the way that we support organizations. So I won't read this out to you. You can read it out on the website, but it's really being a supporting organization, we see ourselves as pollinators and really connectors, and these commitments really exemplify that. Which brings me to our Destination Zero Waste program, which is the program that most closely aligns with the GTPI commitments. So this program, on one hand, the objective is to create a circular economy around tourism. So we're talking, of course, about reusing, eliminating, but also avoiding. And that's something that we've, thanks to GTPI, also added to our program. It's a learning experience for everybody. So that's something that we're really proud of to add to our outcomes and to the description of our program. But of course, the outcomes are to reduce the solid waste in the natural environment, but also to engage businesses. These are outcomes that we encourage all of our partners to achieve, and furthermore, also create green jobs. That's a really big one, especially in tourism, which many organizations will relate to. This is just a snapshot of where we currently have projects. You'll see Bali there, and this is constantly changing, but it's just to show, I mean, we are really working globally on this. These are just some results to date. As you can see, really big. We've got the plastic waste avoided. That's something that actually only one of our partners was tracking since the beginning. So that's why the number is so big. But I think this slide really shows you the potential of impact, you know, when we're talking about avoiding and closing the tab. It's massive. So I want you all to make that change in case you haven't already, or in case it's not a priority on your side yet. So finally, I just wanted to share what we're doing exactly with GTPI. On one hand, as I already mentioned, we are making improvements to our framework. We're incorporating the knowledge that GTPI is creating, but then we're also integrating our projects with the GTPI guidelines and tools. So it's a back and forth. Sometimes our partners come with GTPIs, sometimes we're introducing it, but we're really seeing the value in that. So that's a really important focus for us. And finally, as Svetlana already mentioned, we had these train the trainer workshops, which we've already done in Mauritius and Bali, and which have led to new signatories, which is great. But it also very much led to a tangible output of developing a pilot together with MVU and partners in Bali. And that's come to an end, but I can officially announce that there's a scale up that's just been approved. So with that, I'll hand over to Rennie and the team to talk specifically about what we're doing in Bali.
Perfect. I think if I click through, then I have control now. Veronica, thank you so much for the introduction. Svetlana, obviously, thank you for inviting us. Hi, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Rennie, and I work for NVU. And I'd like to welcome you to Indonesia. And in more particular, I would like to welcome you to Bali. Bali, that is known and labeled as the island of the gods for its beautiful rice fields, oceans, mangrove forests, and beautiful diving sites. Unfortunately, though, Bali is now also being washed away by a lot of trash. There's a lot of single-use plastics leaking in the environment, and it is causing Bali also being labeled already as a no-go destination by some outlets. So obviously, we want to make sure that Bali stays beautiful and stays the island of the gods. And luckily, as both Svetlana and Veronica already mentioned, there are a lot of change makers that want to change and keep Bali as beautiful as it is. This is a picture of the Train the Trainer workshop in Bali in late 2024. Obviously, bonus points for whoever can spot Svetlana, Veronica, and myself. This is the first time we met in person. And basically, during that session, we got inspired by everybody there to also see like how can we actually give you the tools to really make that change within your hotels, for example. So during the conversation that we had there, we came up with the idea for Destination Zero Waste Bali to really focus on reducing single-use plastic waste in Bali. And where we saw that there was already a lot of initiatives on the downstream waste management, we thought, hey, what can we do? How can we really prevent waste? Well, we really want to turn off the tap at its source. So working with hotels to really make sure that single-use plastic waste is not created in these hotels. So how do we do that? Well, basically for Destination Zero Waste Bali, we created 3 pillars. One is ecosystem work, where we basically bring together hotels, financiers, suppliers, so that they can really, through peer-to-peer contact, learn from each other and see what is needed. The second pillar is focusing on advisory. Obviously, Joe already mentioned a lot of things on GTPI. GTPI is basically the basis. It forms the benchmark of our work, because with GTPI, the data that is occurring from that, we can actually see what the problems are within a hotel. And then we also see how we can connect that to existing solutions. And where we really step in as NVU is if solutions are unavailable in Bali, we co-design them with the hotels. Last year, we did that with 5 hotels in the southern part of Bali, Nirjala in Kedungu, Tui Blue Brawa, Tony's Villas, Rebels Bali, and Segara Village. And as you can see, it's in the southern part of Bali, where every morning a lot of waste washes up on the beaches. So with these 5 hotels, we onboarded them. We worked together with them alongside with Joe, actually also to implement the GTPI toolkit. Once we had the data from the GTPI toolkit, we invited these hotels for work sessions at the premises of these hotels. And together with them, we identified where the biggest problem areas are. Where do they procure the most single-use packaging waste? Once we figured out what hotels can do themselves, we basically also identified where they would need some help. And for the areas where they needed help, we as NVU, with our team, we designed a few concepts and we prepared experiments to implement in these hotels. Once we had those concepts, for example, replacing single-use packaging from minibar items with returnable and washable jars, we worked together with the hotels, for example, in the picture on the left above, where the general manager of a hotel, together with the head of housekeeping, trying to figure out how to incorporate these experiments in these new type of packaging in their rooms. These experiments we ran for a couple of weeks in the hotels, and by doing so, we involved basically a couple of thousand of people, ranging from direct stakeholders like our direct partners from the hotels, but also staff from housekeeping, from the front desk, and obviously hotel guests. On top of that, we work together with local suppliers to really try to figure out like what suppliers can source in returnable packaging. All of this in a few weeks resulted in the reduction of a couple of thousand of single-use items prevented over 9 categories from GTPI. And as Veronica just mentioned, this was a small pilot last year, but we would love to scale it now in phase 2, where the more hotels sign up through GTPI, the more data is generated. And once there's more data, we can really find the gaps. You can really identify the problem areas from hotels, which department in a hotel generates the most single-use plastic items, so that we can create new solutions. And with new solutions, we can offer more to hotels, and hopefully by that we create a new flywheel, basically, that more and more hotels sign up and more solutions are created, or hotels are connected to existing solution providers in Bali. If you want to know more, please reach out to me. And I hope that was 3 minutes, Svetlana. So thank you so much. Matur suksema dari Bali.
It was perfect. Thank you so much, Rennie and Veronica, and also Mucha. I don't know if Mucha is together with us. It's quite late in Indonesia. But colleagues, yes, I love this project. It's extremely inspiring. What I found also particularly interesting is how you managed to engage local food producers and actually create new products that are locally sourced and that are packaged in reusable packaging. I found it extremely inspiring, really, really nice. And yes, and congratulations on the next phase, which is very, very exciting. And to complement this destination level perspective, we will now hear directly from one of the businesses that participated in the GTPI journey. And it's my pleasure and honor to invite Onike Santoso from Raffles Bali, who will share how participation in the GTPI training and GTPI projects help to strengthen efforts to address plastic pollutions with her property, but also across other Raffles and Accor hotels, because she was a great advocate for GTPI, but also, of course, for Destination Zero Waste Bali and Touriger Foundation partners and Enview. So, Onike, are you here?
Yes,
Over to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Svetlana. So during the GTPI, after the GTPI program, it's been 2 years. Time flies, and after the GTPI program, we do a lot of trainings to our employee, our staff member, our team member about the importance of limiting single-use plastics, which is before this we don't have the tool to do that, and then we also not really trained. We can understand, as someone who work at sustainability, it's something very simple to me, but sometimes teaching is also can be very challenging. So with the tools that have been given by the GTPI, given by Joe, it was very cute and it was very lovely to share with the team here. So all of the team at Raffles Bali now trained in single-use plastic and why it's important to reduce or manage it well. It's helped a lot, and I see a shift in behavior of our team as well. It's not a big shift like what we've been imagining, but they start to, for example, if they see me, they will remember plastic and then start to reducing it. Or there's this two initiative that I'm very proud of from my team, is that they are coming up with this idea. We always do cleaning bleeds. So we are doing cleaning around our area, outside of Raffles Valley area. So near the road nearby or the beach, or there's this river beside us, we do clean up every once in a while. And then usually we are using plastic bag to collect it, or we are using the another kind of a sack, like a sack, but it's made out of plastic as well. But one time I joined the cleaning blitz. It was mainly arranged by our HR, and then I found out that they are not using plastic anymore. Instead, they're using our used linen and make it into like a bag. And it's a collaboration between the HR team and also the housekeeping team. So they make it themselves. It might be something very, very small, just making that is very simple as well, but it's coming from them. I think that's the important thing. It's not coming from me who asking them to make it, but they see the problem. They see why they cannot use plastic anymore, why it's bad. So they created this by themselves. I think that's the most project I'm proud of. And then the other thing is we have a new destination, dining destination, and then they need a new coaster. So instead of buying a new coaster or those single-use coaster for the new dining destination program, the team was collaborating between F&B team and the engineering team to reuse our corks. So not corks, our yoga mat. So our yoga mat is already made out of used corks. And then they also make it again into this coaster. The coaster is for the glass and also for the foam for the guests. So all of this very, very small initiatives, even though it's very small, but one thing that I'm really find it beautiful is that they are doing it by themselves because they see how simple it can be and they see why plastic is not good. And also, I had the opportunity and the privilege to work with Joe for the complicated Excel sheet. I find it very hard to start, but Joe was there and then helping me a lot. I'm very grateful for my team to bear with me to fill out all of those data for the Excel, and I find it very hard to start. But once it's ongoing, it's a bit easier, though to follow up is still a little bit challenging, but I hope I will explore again the new tools that Joe has developed and shared today, and hopefully it can be much easier, and I will give you feedback on that. And then I've been working with Rennie a lot too. We just met yesterday to discuss about the waste management that we have for our property. So we want to advancing it, our waste management, especially also we're talking about the plastic, how can we recycle it, reuse it, and then before we are also engaging in an opportunity of using a reusable packaging instead of for the mini bars. I find it very doable, and we are looking forward about how can we collaborate in the future. So I think that's all from me. Thank you for the opportunities to share.
Thank you so much, Annika. And it's extremely rewarding also to hear your experience and to see how you manage to motivate staff and your teams, and how staff is just getting the ownership of all of these solutions. It's just really nice. And it's nice to see the proofs that we can start maybe small training, but then it can actually transform into real results on the ground, and that's really, really rewarding. So thank you so much for the hard work, and a big thank you to all speakers from Indonesia. And now I suggest we move from Indonesia to Mauritius, another destination where Global Tourism Plastics Initiative has been actively supporting efforts to address plastic pollution in the tourism sector. In 2024, GTPI delivered series of trainings, field audits, bilateral training assistance, activities with tourism businesses were implemented in Mauritius bilaterally in group activities. And we also continued this engagement throughout 2025 through bilateral follow-ups and exchanges with stakeholders. So now we are very pleased to have the opportunity today to learn more about how these efforts have evolved and how the tourism sector in Mauritius continues to advance circular solutions. And to begin, It is my honor and pleasure to invite Dr. Folman, Divisional Environment Officer in the Plastics Management Division of the Ministry of Environment, Solid Waste Management and Climate Change of the Republic of Mauritius, to share a government perspective on recent developments and progress in Mauritius, particularly in relation to the tourism sector. Dr. Fullman, are you with us? Can
Yes,
you?
yes.
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
fantastic. Thank you so much. Yes, we can hear you.
So
Over to you.
I will share my the slide.
Okay, fantastic. I stop sharing then.
Yes,
Just
please.
give me a second. Over to you.
Can you see?
Yes, it's not yet in. Fantastic. All is there. Over to you. Thank you.
So basically, I'll talk about the experience of Mauritius with respect to the development of roadmap. We just developed the roadmap. It's just being public in April. So just quickly, I know I have only 3 minutes. So rapidly, just before the coming into force of this roadmap, we had two legislations. One banning the plastic bags, and the second one banning single-use plastic product. That is 10 items such as straw. You have the plastic cups, bowl, trays, right? 10 items. So then we moved for, because certain actions were being taken. This is just as a haphazard or ad hoc measures were being taken. So we say that why not we start planning all our different activities or actions that we have to do. So then the idea came for the development of a roadmap. So basically, first, how the consultant they proceeded was first to have the desk review so as to know about what is the status and also the gaps. Then we have stakeholders consultations. So a wide range of consultations we had. In all 27 consultation with like government agencies, parastatal bodies, recyclers, civil society, academia, name them, all 27 we had, all right? Then after that, we had the validation workshop in November last year. Now, to show, to monitor the progress of the work, we had to set up a technical committee so as to monitor the progress as well as the deliverable as per the terms of reference of the project. So three main deliverables were there. First one was the National Strategy Plan, that is the roadmap for a plastic pollution-free Mauritius. Second was a legal document, that is to review the, what is with the new recommendation in terms of legal. And third one, how to raise the awareness within the public and also in schools. So these were the three documents. I will just talk about the National Strategic Plan, that is the roadmap. The roadmap, it's defined 10 years, it's a 10 years plan. And this is basically aims to shift from the linear economic model to adopt a circular economic model that is includes the tourism sector as well. And the NSP, they contains like 60 short, medium, and long-term activities and revolves around 11 targets, right? And then the NSP is structured around 6 strategic directions. We have also, together with this document, we have produced as well 5-year costed action plan. That is what are the actions that we need to undertake within the 5 years. And including like some 411 billion rupees, roughly around 8 million USD, right? Next is that I said that there are some 6 strategic directions for which we have developed based on first, strengthening our institutional coherence and legal frame and enforcement. Second was to scale up innovation and sustainable product alternatives. Third was to improve national collection, sorting, and recycling. Just to remind that we don't have any waste sorting facilities actually. Fourth was to promote education and awareness. And the fifth was to secure long-term financing. And the last one was to develop an integrated national data and reporting system. Right. So we said that this will cost us around 8.6 million. So plastics everywhere. So what have been the main recommendations of our roadmap? First one we saw that there is a lot of data gaps. We don't have enough data to substantiate how much plastic we are entering in Mauritius, what is through the plastic chain, and how much is being disposed. I mean, we have lack of data. So the first thing is that we have to develop a robust inventory database. Second, we have to phase-wise reduce the non-essential or problematic plastic. Third is like we have to at least collect the plastic collection have to reach up to 80% collection by the year 2035. And also we have to reduce the importation of virgin plastic pellets. And the fifth one was to adopt a phased approach towards building plastic waste recycling capacity. Because Mauritius, we have the capacity, but we don't have enough promotion of this recycling capacity. And the last one, which I am just quoting, is about education and the awareness campaign. Just to, because we understand that plastic is not the only work of the government, but it's like a chain. So we have the need to have the private sector, the NGOs, everybody is taken on board there. So I think that's all from my part. And I know I have respected the 3 minutes. So I hope this was useful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Folman. It's extremely useful, and we are really grateful you took your time to connect and present this roadmap. It's very inspiring work that Mauritius is doing, and a lot of countries in the region and even more broadly are looking at the work that you've been accomplishing. And from our side, from the side of the Global Tourism Plastics Initiative, I hope that we will be able to support and mobilize the support for the implementation of this roadmap from the side of the tourism sector. And we are there ready to help if needed. Thank you again. I hope we stay in touch. I know you are very busy, so you probably need to go to your next commitments, but it was greatly appreciated.
Thank you very much. Hope to see you soon. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. And now we will hear from Gregory Martin from Motopia, who has been closely involved in supporting tourism businesses in Mauritius. And Gregory will share practical examples of progress and lessons learned from the sector. Gregory,
Yes,
do you prefer to share the slides, or do you want me to share the slides on your behalf? Whichever you prefer.
Better if you can share. Can you hear me well?
Of course, we can hear you very well.
Yeah, perfect.
I'm not sure I can see you.
Let me double check that.
Maybe colleagues
yeah,
can see
maybe,
you and not me. Just
I
a
don't
second.
know.
I'm just.
But it's okay. It's better to hear me maybe. All right. Yes, the time is flying. So lots of things going on in Mauritius. It's it's a very interesting era. And then we are lucky because we also have some hotel industry players around here. So maybe we are having some issues with the presentation, or do you?
Please just start your introduction. I will catch up. The internet is a
Okay,
bit
all right.
slow. My
Because
apologies.
no worries, no worries. All right. No, things in Mauritius is crazy because we had the chance to have a GTPI in November 2024, and also TUE came here. But then 2025 was a marvelous year for Mauritius, where, as Dr. Fulma said, we had a national commitment regarding a roadmap. And so the roadmap is quite clear. We have the political commitment, also the stakeholders from private sector, NGOs. So yeah, last year was very, very interesting. And at the same time, we also had a very program, a regional program called Explore from the IOC, supported by AFD. And we also had 2 times the boat of Plastic Odyssey who came in Mauritius. As from now, we have a big program starting. It's called Island Plus from IUCN. Next slide, please. And in few words, it's very interesting because I'm working with most of the stakeholders as consultant for ARIM. ARIM is an association for hotel industry in Mauritius. They are very well organized. And it's very interesting to have every 2 months, we have a meeting with all the hotel industry player regarding environment. And of course, plastic and waste is one of the hottest topic. So these big players, because mainly the big players, have already switched off some PET bottle, and they have no equipment regarding refill of glass bottle, and no more PET bottle in the guest experience, mainly in the hotel, the restaurants. Next slide, please. And they're also working a lot with a local supplier, because we have a strong industrial capacity in Mauritius. And I don't know how, but we had the chance, we are lucky, because these players, these industrial players, they kept their line of bottling glass bottles. So most of the hotels are using consign glass bottle, and when the glass are not deposit, sorry, when there is no deposit, they're also working to sustain an initiative called Prosever. It's a kind of a first EPR in Mauritius regarding glass bottle. So it shows that it's not only on the plastic, it's also on other waste, and having a look to the entire life cycle system. Next slide, please. And this partnership between the industrial and the local tourism players, it's quite interesting, because they have also managed to ask the supplier of cleaning products and or other chemical products to take back their HDPE containers. And one more time, when you can't reuse the containers, such as for the paint, they have worked with the supplier and also with a recycler, local recycler, to be able to give a new life. So an example is now in Mauritius, we can produce 100% of recycled plastic, local recycled plastic, the bins, the waste bins, and it's something very interesting. Next slide, please. Yes, and this is something that Joe already presented. So one more time, all the industrial players are working as partners of the hotel, or to avoid single-use plastic and by a refill system. Next slide, please. And also, most of them have implemented waste sortage as source, even if it's not mandatory. It will be mandatory in 2 years' time, but it's already implemented in the industry at 2 levels. First level, it's in different departments, but also having one service provider inside the hotel. Being able to, as we said in French, surtri, so over sortage, sorry, to be sure that the waste are going to the local recycling industry, or exported for recycling. Next slide, please. And this is sorry, here is also doing a very interesting project. It's some hotel are at the like at the end of a logistic road, so very far away. It sometimes is very difficult, or it costs a lot of money to be able to handle plastic waste. So they have invested. They have bought we call it micro factory, where they can prepare plastic, so it can shred it, clean it, and then put it in big bale. Then it will go to the local recyclers. Next slide, please. And sometime, like in a hurry to find good solution, some of the players have switched from PET to PLA bottle, because some customers are also looking for water when they go hiking or outside the hotel. So we have a local supplier of water in a PLA bottle, but the thing is we do not have the end of life for that kind of plastic waste. And after a lot of discussion, talk, they were able to ask the supplier to bring end of life. So now the supplier is taking back all this plastic packaging to compost it in an industrial composter. And that's raises also the question that I can ask right now. Is it something that you have also in your countries? Do you also use PLA bottle? What are the end of life? But yeah, so commitment in Mauritius is very interesting. The hotel industry is the leading one, and it's also growing with other partners such as the ministry, but also the industrial association, and also the NGOs. And I think it's over for me, and I know that you have a Mauritian player that will be more, will be better for them. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Gregory, and thank you for being such a fantastic advocate also for our initiative in Mauritius. And thank you for touch basing about the issue related to PLA. Indeed, with Jove and we deliver trainings. That's a topic we address quite in details because this needs to be addressed with a lot of attention and caution. That you explained it very well. And thank you so much for your time. And now to conclude this segment related to Mauritius, we will hear directly from a tourism business. It is my great pleasure to invite Elsa Paul from Attitude Hospitality Management, who will share her experience implementing solutions to reduce plastic pollution and advanced circular practices. And Elsa has a lot of very innovative, very interesting activities and projects to share. As are you here? Can you?
Yes.
Do you want me to share the slides on your behalf, or do you want to share them yourself? What's your preference?
You're already here, so you can share. Continue to share.
Deal.
Thank you. So, hi everyone. Thank you, Svetlana and the team for the invitation to share our journey towards eliminating single-use plastic at Attitude Hotel Group, based in Mauritius. So you can do next slide. So basically, it all started in 2020. So we set ourselves an ambitious objective, which were to eliminate all single-use plastic from the guest experience across all our hotels in Mauritius. And for us, it was so reducing plastic was our responsibility as a private business. And we do have implemented some action which helped us in achieving this objective. So next slide. So one of the most visible initiative is the implementation of our bulk shop. So formerly, the hotel minibars in the rooms, in the guest room, had like many individual packaged products such as tea, coffee, sugar, snacks, water bottles, and other refreshments. And so we decided to completely rethink the process, not just only to replace this item from plastic to a non-plastic material. It was really our objective to rethink the whole process. So instead of offering individually packaged products in the rooms, we created the bulk shop where guests can serve themselves there. So it's a shop where they can find tea, coffee, local snacks, sugar, and all of these are presented like in reusable glass jar, which are washed and refilled after use. And so these actions significantly reduce plastic packaging waste, but not only, also unnecessary packaging. And so beyond plastic reduction, the bulk shop also supports like the local economy through collaboration with Mauritian suppliers and producers for a selection of snacks and products that are available to guests in the bulk shop. Next slide, please. So another important focus area was the elimination of plastic water bottles. So Gregory already mentioned some of those actions, but we work with an international brand which is called Doppel, a Dutch brand who fight against plastic solution, and they provide reusable water bottle. So we have it in our hotels. So at their arrival, guests receive a Doppel bottle where they can refill their own bottle throughout their stay in our hotels. Via like water refill station are available all around the hotel. And to complement this also in our restaurants and bars, we serve like water in reusable glass bottles that are washed, refilled and reused through our internal bottling plant. And next slide, please. And the same like philosophy applies also inside our guest room. So as mentioned earlier, the reusable jars you see here come from the bulk shop. So guests can take it to their room to have a tea, coffee, and eat their snacks. And also in terms of bathroom amenities such as shampoo, shower gel, hand soap, so we provide them in refillable dispensers rather than individual plastic amenities bottles. And the products also are supplied in large containers from the suppliers, which are collected, bagged, and refilled by the supplier themselves, which creates a more circular approach. And for the laundry bags, bin liners, we also use like upcycle bed linen. So all bed linen which we upcycle to make it to serve this as laundry bags and bin liners. So the next slide, there was a small video, 30 seconds. It's okay if there's no sound. Yeah. So this small video talks about a bit more about this commitment, or I have discussed earlier. And today, across our 8 hotels in Mauritius, this initiative allowed us to eliminate approximately 3.6 million single-use plastic items every year. So at group level, including plastic water bottles, single-use amenities bottles, individual sugar, coffee packaging. And many of these solutions, the solution we implemented require supplier engagement, as for many of them, suppliers need to rethink their packaging format, their collection system, their refill model. So there's this willingness also from the suppliers to innovate, which has been a key success factor for us, and also to integrate also the employees in the process, because we don't want also that some actions become a burden for the operations, for the daily operations. So it's really in terms of stakeholder engagement, how we can also have all these inputs before implementing actions. And Yes, and it's still an ongoing journey. So we still face some challenges, especially in the back of house, where we still witness like the use of plastic with other packaging, and sometimes alternatives are not like available necessarily in Mauritius, or that for the suppliers it can represent like an additional cost. So challenges still exist. But like we are really happy to see the development of a national roadmap in Mauritius, as well as like support and tools, peer learning opportunities, like through the Global Tourism Plastic Initiative. So thanks a lot for all the work also you're doing, and for taking the time to connect ourselves also. Yes, so that's all on my side. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much. As I am certain that some of the participants were taking notes, because some of the initiatives, honestly, I haven't seen it anywhere else. It's really cool, and it's really nice to see that you managed to generate impacts also. So thank you so much for this presentation, and big thank you to all the colleagues from Mauritius for their presentations. I hope very soon we will manage to have, let's say, a country level coordination call to learn a bit more from all of the fantastic activities you've been implementing. So we are a bit behind the schedule. Nothing against dramatic, but still, let's move to our next extremely interesting destination, which is Madagascar. So may I ask colleagues to mute themselves if they are not talking, or I just did it myself in a very democratic way. Anyway, now, as I was saying, we turn to Madagascar, where efforts to address plastic pollution are increasingly linked with broader sustainable development objectives. And I'm very pleased to invite Rila Albani, Director of Pollution and Waste Management at the Ministry of Environment and Sustainable Development of Madagascar, to present the Île Sainte-Marie Sans Plastique initiative. And thank you so much, Rila, for being with us. You have about 3 minutes. The floor is yours. And if you are comfortable with this, I will be doing sharing the slides on your behalf. Otherwise, you can do it if you prefer.
Okay, thank you so much. So I am pleased to share with you the progress of plastic-free Sainte-Marie Island initiative, collaborative effort aimed at reducing plastic pollution and promoting sustainable tourism, one of Madagascar's most iconic destination. As you know, Island Bora or Île Sainte-Marie host each year the Festival of Baleine. So Île Sainte-Marie has a small tourist island located on the east coast of Madagascar, and has been identified as a pilot territory to test innovative solutions for combating plastic pollution and promoting a circular economy. Next slide, please. Why Île Sainte-Marie? First, because it's a strategic size, a compact territory ideal for piloting and measuring the impact of innovative solution. And it is also the tourism hub. So the strong tourism activity generates significant plastic waste, and making it a priority intervention zone. Stakeholder engagement also. The activity local communities, businesses, and authority ready to champion change. And finally, a replicable model. So The success here can be scaled to other small touristic islands across the region. The next. So during the World Environment Day last year, a multi-stakeholder roundtable was organized, bringing together representatives from the government institution, the private sector, and the civil society, NGO, and the local stakeholder. The aim was to discuss how the initiative could be implemented collectively and effectively. The participants identify key challenges, including plastic waste management, stakeholders coordination, behavior change, and the availability of sustainable alternatives. So the discussion resulted in the shared engagement plan, outlining commitment and priorities for action. Next, please. So in this project, we identify 5 pillars. The first pillar is mapping plastic use in the hospitality. In this year, in March, with the support of Explore project, Plastic Expedition in the Indian Ocean, an initiative led by Indian Ocean Commission to combat plastic pollution, we organized a workshop in Santa Maria to advance the implementation of initiative. The workshop focused on the transforming the commitment identified during the roundtable into the light action plan with clear activity, responsibilities, timelines, and measurable indicator. There is also the pillar 2 is focused on supporting hotel in the transition. So with the support of GTPI, training workshop will equip hotels with tools and knowledge to reduce plastic waste. So replace and reduce, eliminate single-use plastic packaging and replace with reusable or refillable alternative. Sustainable packaging, so develop and adopt eco-friendly packaging solution tailored and the local context, and promote circular practice, implement waste sorting, reuse, source reduction, and plastic recovery program on site. Next slide. In pillar 3, awareness and behavior change are also critical to the success of this initiative. So in pillar 3, raising awareness among tourists and operators is very important. For instance, in the airport and airlines, you have meetings with airport authority and airlines. There is a negotiation and the right to reduce or eliminate plastic cups on the flight to the island for the tourists to go to Santa Maria. There is also the awareness material deployed on the beach in the hotel tourism zone and the local community. And we are going to develop some tools and traveler materials, environmental kit, and etc. For the pillar 4, you are focused on the community engagement and behaviors change, so educational programs, stakeholders mobilization, and behavioral incentives. Next. And finally, for the pillar 5, in collaboration with the Ministry of Tourism, and the Ministry of Environment. An eco-label will be developed to recognize tourism establishments that adopt environmentally responsible practice, particularly those aimed at reducing single-use plastic and improve waste management. This certification will encourage sustainability with the tourism sector, while strengthening Saint Mary's position as a leading sustainable destination in the Indian Ocean. So, to resume this project, there is a plastic-free island, eliminate single-use plastic across the all tourism activity. The local activity drive behavioral change from educational and sensitive circular economy model to demonstrate a replicable island transition framework, a regional reference, become a benchmark for sustainable tourism in the Indian Ocean. So this initiative is a pilot for Madagascar, and it started last year. And the vision is Il Sainte-Marie as a plastic-free pilot island, replicable model for sustainable tourism across small island destinations worldwide. Thank you so much, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Arila. We are extremely encouraged by the ambition and the momentum behind these efforts, and we really looking forward to our joint collaboration. Hopefully, and also it's fantastic to see that there is a true interministerial collaboration with the Ministry of Tourism, which is, I will not surprise anyone, sometimes a challenging aspect of implementation of solutions, environmental solutions in the tourism sector. And building on this discussion, I'm not very pleased to hand over to my colleague, Noemi Mette from UNEP, who will briefly present the National Assessment on Green Jobs Opportunities that was just undertaken in Madagascar. And she will share with us how skills development and employment opportunities can support the transition towards a more circular and sustainable tourism sector. Noemi, apologies, we are a bit late and we don't have much time, but really want to hear from you a bit about this assessment. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Svetlana. I'll be very, very quick. So just on the UND project, very briefly, the project is about strengthening policies and capacities for green jobs for youth. It's led by UNEP, ILO, and UNICEF under the United Nations Development Account. And it's a project that operates not only in Madagascar, but also in Cuba and Senegal. So what does it do is that we strengthen policymakers' knowledge on green youth employment and improve also interministerial coordination, as well as coordination with social partners, education partners, as well as youth organizations, so that they co-jointly implement green jobs policies in high impact sectors. So key activities of this project include the national assessment that I'll present for Madagascar just afterwards, that uses the Just Transition Assessment Model and was led by ILO, followed by technical workshops for policymakers, interministerial roundtable. The one in Madagascar will be happening on 15th of July, and training of trainers that Svetlana will talk more about just after me. So the whole project really places particular emphasis on gender equality, decent work for youth, as well as South-South learning exchange between the countries that were selected, but also within the whole of the world. So the aim at the end of the project is to have at least 60 policymakers trained with concrete action plans and multi-stakeholder partnership established in each country. So more about the national assessment in Madagascar. And I'll emphasize particularly on sustainable tourism and ecotourism. So what it came out was tourism is a major economic pillar representing 10% of the GDP pre-COVID and generating over $520 million in revenue and supporting 70,000 jobs, so 12% of the labor market, which is of course underpinned by extraordinary biodiversity with 95% of endemism rates for animal and plant species in Madagascar. So it suffered a massive collapse during COVID-19, but recovered strongly in 2023. And the national target is 1 million tourists by 2028, with nature conservation central to the strategy. In terms of investment and economic returns, so the sector has a value added that grows steadily at 2.3% between 2026 and 2030. And it has more stable returns to actually other sectors that were within the assessment. The other sectors were agriculture, and renewable energy. In terms of green jobs for youth, there's 4,740 green jobs that were projected in 2026 and rising to more than 4,893 by 2035. For young women, there is 535 direct green jobs in 2026, growing to 553 by 2035. So the spillover effects are massive as well, because of course there's benefits flow to agriculture, food and beverage, transport, construction materials, business services, and telecoms. So the overall assessment for this sector is that it's one of the most stable and promising sectors for sustained green jobs creation, and particularly for youth and women. I will make sure to share more about this report when it's completely final, so you're actually having the drafts results before everyone. And I will share also in the chat more information about the UND project and the Madagascar page in particular. Thank you so much.
Huge thank you, Naomi. These figures are extremely encouraging for the tourism sector, and I find this assessment extremely useful and fantastically informative. So I'm sure many will be extremely interested to read it once it's officially published. And just taking advantage to say hi to Tanya, who is the coordinator of this UNDA project globally in other countries as well. Thank you, Tanya, for being connected and for listening to us. And thank you again, Noemi. So building on this assessment that Noemi just presented, and as Noemi and Rila also mentioned, we are planning to organize a dedicated training of trainers program in Madagascar during the second half of this year. And it will be following the model similar to trainings already delivered in other countries, like what you heard from Mauritius and from Indonesia. And particular focus will be placed on strengthening skills of young professionals and supporting local capacity to deliver circular economy solutions within the tourism sector over the longer term. So we really look forward to continuing working on this project. Thank you for all colleagues presenting progress in Madagascar. I thought I will have time to present you a brief snapshot of our progress in other destinations like Cabo Verde, but we do not have the time for this, unfortunately. And also good news is that next we have another session on 8th of June, where we will be in details presenting the results of implementation already in Cabo Verde, in Zimbabwe, and other very exciting countries and destinations like Mexico, for instance, as well, and Colombia. So this is just a small teaser for the next week. And now I suggest we move to our final presentation. So throughout today's session, we have focused primarily on efforts to address plastic pollution in accommodation, among accommodation providers and also in destination settings. But there are also important opportunities to address circular solutions in other segments of the tourism sector. GTPI started closely collaborating now with the Green Growth Knowledge Partnership led by UNEP, particularly on knowledge sharing and on capacity building activities. And today we are very pleased to hear about a very interesting work stream initiated by JJKP under the Jeff Islands program, focusing on engagement with the cruise sector. So it is my great pleasure to introduce Jana Tuo, Knowledge Management and Research Specialist with the Jeff Islands program. Jana will provide an update on this work and share some latest developments on engagement of the cruise industry, particularly in island states. So, Jana, I stop sharing and over to you. Thank you so much for your patience with us.
Thank you so much, Svetlana, and greetings, colleagues. I'm very pleased to have stayed till the end because I really heard all the good work that you've been doing, and it actually pans out to what we're going to talk about. It's like a connecting the dots presentation. I really like it. So I'm giving this presentation on behalf of our head, Ms. Fabienne Pierre. She's our coordinator at the Green Growth Knowledge Partnership and also our project manager. So maybe let's go into that already. So we entitled this intervention as Engaging the Cruise Sector for Sustainable Waste Management in the SIDS. It's really an insights from the Jeff Islands project, and maybe let's begin there. Islands is really a long acronym that is all about implementing sustainable low and non-chemical development in small island development states. So we started around 2021. So right after the pandemic, there was really a lot of calls from 33 island nations in the 4 regions, Pacific Ocean, Caribbean, Atlantic, and Indian Ocean, to collectively look at the harmful effects of untapped and unchecked toxic chemicals that are coming into through their imports and exports of materials. We will send more information about this to you through our website, and I invite you to learn about it. But in a nutshell, what are we supporting? So the Jeff Islands program through UNEP and implemented by other agencies such as FAO, UNDP, and the Inter-American Development Bank. We're looking at end-of-life vehicles, mercury, e-waste, contaminated plastics, used oil, toxic chemicals, and highly hazardous pesticides. Because as we know, in small island development states, the influx of this material is faster than the outflow. So there's a really big risk of it staying inside and then harming the environment and human health. So what do we do at GGKP? And hearing from all of our speakers today, that's exactly one way of doing, addressing what the goals of the Jeff Islands program is. It's really all about generating, exchanging, and applying knowledge in order to raise public awareness and drive behavior change across those 4 objectives of the program. In terms of the cruise sector and waste management and ships, we started with actually through the islands Caribbean region. And we engaged the private sector to learn more about it. But how did islands start? Well, basically, there was an assumption that cruise ships generate large volumes of waste that overwhelm small island waste management systems and infrastructure. At the end of it, it's all about solid waste management and how to engage effectively the stakeholders that are involved in it. There's also the assumption of the program when it was designed that waste from cruise tourism adds to already high waste loads in import-dependent island economies with limited disposal options. There's weak regulation and enforcement because we have a lot of laws in place at global, regional, and national levels. However, at the ground, what is the actionable knowledge that our stakeholders can use? That's the problem. So what did the Jeff Islands program do, particularly in the islands Caribbean region? It aimed, the very ambitious goal of establishing a cruise sector coalition and identifying measurable commitments from private sector that would inform sustainable development and reduce harmful impacts. But that is really a lot of work. And so we are there. We're at the beginning of actually reaching out the private sector through different kinds of engagements. And we are very privileged to work with Joe. So Joe is our cruise and partnership specialist, and she's helping us identify what is the cruise waste landscape like. So at the moment, what we have is really a desk study and then some notes from our conversations with the companies and the cruise operators from before. But most importantly, like the photos you see here, we are working with, or we have worked with the Dominican Republic for a waste assessment related to these kinds of hospitality and tourism events. What are we finding at the moment? There's really a gap in terms of research, and it's needing some decision making and accountability through the regions that we work with. So what's next? So we're going to have direct consultations with regional island projects. Again, thank you to Joe for helping us understand that. And we will have a landscape study that would help inform this coalition framework to formalize partnerships and commitments during the Islands Program implementation. At the end of it, we would love to have public and private partnerships that would integrate cruise sector engagement in waste management with circular economy solutions. One important connecting the dot information here is we have project offices in Mauritius, in the Indian Ocean, the Seychelles, and also in the Atlantic through Sao Tome, Guinea-Bissau, and I'm missing one more, Cabo Verde. So on that note, I would invite everybody in this call to please visit our website and join the forum on the Green Forum for discussions and our social media posts. And with that, Svetlana, I hand over to you.
Thank you so much, Jana, and we value very much your time and the fact that you brought this project to our GTPI Fora today here. And as you see, colleagues, we do love connecting the dots. And also our GTPI trainer, Joe, has another hat, as you can see, who is also supporting GJKP with the engagement of the cruise sector. So I hope a lot of very interesting synergies and the results will come up of this from these collaborations and from these assessments. Thank you so much, Jana. Colleagues, we are coming close to the end of the session. I know it was intense. There was really a lot of information, but I hope you also not only tired by this information, but also feeling re-energized by all of this really nice and really inspiring ideas that are currently being implemented and already generating impacts. So I don't know, any final words, Joe, Virginia, colleagues, before we close this session? Virginia, jump in.
Thank you so much, Svetlana. No, I've been listening to everything that was presented with great attention. I wanted to congratulate all the presenters for the amazing work. I think the event today really shows the value of this network, and we are really proud of everything that you are pushing. I think collaboration is going to take us far, and really hope to support more of these exchanges so that we can really dive very deeply into the lessons learned and really build this community for the years to come. So just wanted to thank and congratulate everybody from UN Tourism. We are very happy to collaborate with UNEP and everyone else in the Global Tourism Plastics Initiative.
Thank you, Virginia. We always in our joint webinars finish it by a love declaration to to each to our respective organizations. We value also extremely young tourism support, of course. Thank you, Virginia, for these kind words. And Joe, maybe a few final reflections before we close.
I think it's honestly been one of the most rewarding webinars that I've joined for a long time. I know that they can be quite intensive, like you say, sometimes, you know, they're hard to go through, but it's almost hard to switch off. You want to hear more from people. There's just so many brilliant things happening, and it's fantastic to have an opportunity to share those and for people to learn from each other and to see. I know time flies, and I know that 2024 almost seems years away, but when you look at the time span and you look what's actually happened in that time and how many people have come together across so many different sectors, you really feel there's acceleration to it, and it's really moving, and it's been brilliant to see that. So thank you to everybody for the work that you've done behind the scenes that we're not seeing, but that we're seeing the fruits of today through the webinar. Thank you.
Absolutely, Joe. It's very rewarding. Thank you to all, and also thank you, Joe, because you played a very important instrumental role in mobilizing stakeholders in this initiative. So, colleagues, I hope those who are able, due to your time zones, to join the webinar next week on the 8th of June, will be joining to hear from more destinations about their implementation results. Others, just please look forward from for our recap email with all of the tools and the recording of this session. You will hear from us in the coming days. And thank you all very much again for your precious time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.